Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is John Jake Gaming on the mic here, coming at you with a brand new episode of the Dayton Triangles here on Madden 25, and we're here with 31 other team builder slots to create a revamped UFL as well. We've already pushed our ticket into the playoffs. We are at least going to have a home game in our first playoff matchup. But before we find out who we're going to go up against, we have to figure out two things. One, we got to figure out what our seed line is going to be, and then we'll also figure out during these next few games, who are we going to face off against in the playoffs. I think it's been very clear that we can compete with just about anybody, and we have just as good of a chance as anyone to win the championship at the end of the season. However, with that being said, it's important that we go ahead and finish strong, and if we can come out here and finish strong, then we can set ourselves up for a good playoff journey, man. So hopefully you guys enjoy this episode. We are gonna finish up the rest of the regular season in this one, so buckle up, Buttercup. It's gonna be a good one. Make sure you do a couple of things for me real fast. Make sure you hit that like button, and shoot, even leave a comment and subscribe if you haven't done so. All of those things that I mentioned helps out my channel tremendously. And so with that little self-plug out of the way, let's go ahead and check out a couple of things before we jump into our first matchup of this game. So we'll go ahead and get things started here as we prep for really another divisional game. This would be our third divisional matchup in the last 3 weeks combined. And this week in particular, we are going to be taking on the Thunderbirds of Evansville, who does lie in our division. And, our defensive coordinator certainly has some concerns, as Leo Studebaker is a stud of a football player. And so just trying to figure out what is the best way to maybe not necessarily neutralize him, but how can we slow him down enough to be successful? And I think it's just a matter of having really good pass recognition. If we can stop from being killed on those play actions, I think that would be extremely helpful for us. Alright, so another thing that we have to do real fast before we do anything else is we are going to go ahead and we are going to upgrade a few of our guys here real fast as well. Gabe Truman is a 5th round pick that we found, and he's a little bit of a gem, somebody that actually would be ready to contribute for us right away. But thankfully, we have built some depth in our defensive line, so don't necessarily have to right this second. I will, however, work on his run-stopping abilities, and he actually jumps a couple of overall, if I'm not mistaken. He gets a +2 to block shed and a +2 to tackling. So Gabe Truman, right out the gate, is a 73 overall and is definitely turning into a usable player. Also getting an upgrade as well is Mitch Woodson, who is I believe he's a rookie on this team. Yes, he is. He's a rookie out of Oklahoma State. Haven't really seen him here in this regular season. I mean, we got some studs like in our wide receiver room at this current time. I will work on his slot abilities, make him a well-rounded wide receiver, and he does at least jump up to a 71 overall with some increases to the route running, but definitely some work to be done before he can see the field on our roster. And then finally, Lucas Shelley is getting an upgrade. Now, after John Jacobs went down, I did bring him up from the practice squad because for whatever reason, when our punter got hurt, it ended up signing like an extra punter instead of just allowing us to use Felipe Nichols long term as like a kicker / punter. So after I cleared that up, I decided to bring Lucas Shelley from the practice squad, and we're going to work on his power, to make him a stronger offensive lineman. He's just depth at this point, but he does get a +2 to lead block, and it's a good opportunity for him to get some additional experience, so to speak. So let's go ahead and jump into the very first game of this episode, having us go on the road to take on this Evansville Thunderbolts team, as Evansville is actually going to get things started here inside the 20-yard line. But look at this, we're going to force a fumble, and guess who happens to be in the area? Matt Weaver is going to jump on top of it, and that is a great turnover and a great sign of things to come. Seeing Evansville break down the length of the field, but yet come away with nothing. That is the epitome of being that, bend but don't break kind of mentality. We love to absolutely see that from our football team. Now, with that being said, we do have a chance to respond as we'll go ahead and drop back the pass with Andrew Collar. First drive of the game as we will find the veteran Will Hunter for picking up that first down. He's going to be able to move the sticks for us. Just a savvy veteran that knows how to pick up those key third down catches, as we'll go ahead and hand it off to Jonathan McGriff. And that run by Jonathan McGriff is going to put us in Evansville territory and a chance to threaten big time. 1st and 10, Cower looking over the middle of the field. That was gonna have to be a dot, and to be fair, it almost was. DeAndre Bossier just could not come down with it. So it's gonna be 3rd and 9 instead as Cower drops back, looks to the left-hand side, and tries to run through it, but Leon Thomas just does enough to pick up that first down, and that will move the sticks once again. 1st and 10 following the first down, the 30-yard line as we throw to the right-hand side, and oh my goodness, if we had a little bit more time, that could have definitely been a big play down the field once again. But instead, it's going to have to be 2nd and 10. Going to have to rely on Jonathan McGriff, who makes the superstar safety jump out of his shoes. And it's a first down for your Dayton Triangles. As now it's going to be 2nd and 7, chance to put up the very first points on the scoreboard as Leon Thomas gets us a whole lot closer. Let's see if we can get it to him here again on this 3rd and short. Gower in the shotgun, looks over to the left-hand side, and there's Leon Thomas running away from everybody and their mama on their way to the end zone, and that's gonna be a touchdown for your Dayton Triangles, as we will get the very first points of the game here in this divisional matchup. But Evansville has all the intent in the world to try and respond as they want to pick up this key 3rd and 7, throwing over the middle of the field. He's got an open receiver as Mike Brock is going to make the completion there, and it'll set up 1st and goal from inside the 5-yard line. Now a handful of yards away from even things up against your Dayton Triangles as Brock faces a little bit of pressure, throws it up, makes the catch, but Cameron Spencer and Peter Townsend brings him down before the goal line. And surprisingly, Evansville will settle for the field goal. They do not try to go for it on 4th down. Very surprised by the decision, but we'll be happy with it for sure, as we will have a chance here as we encroach on that 2-minute warning to put more points up on the board before we go into halftime, as we'll go ahead and run it here. They weren't expecting a run in a 2-minute drill, but we will bring it here as Jonathan McGriff picks up the first down, and that will officially usher in the 2-minute warning. Now, coming out of the 2-minute warning, though, we'll throw it to the left-hand side to Grayson Heidick, who does pick up some yards for us, but there is a penalty out onto the field. And it's going to go against our offense. It looks like it's going to be Isaiah Connor, our starting right tackle, who does end up with the getting penalized there. But we do have a chance to try to throw deep on the very next play. Can't quite make it happen on that particular opportunity. But we will try again on 2nd and 20, and this time going for Leon Thomas, but we can't put it on the money either. It's going to be incomplete, so 2 opportunities there. Andrew Collar just misses on both of them. So 3rd and 20, have a chance to try and see if we can get Evansville off guard here. It was not going to work, and so because of the penalties, the drive does end up stalling out. And we're still only going to be up 7-3, but Evansville could change that here depending on if they got this Hail Mary to end the half. Thankfully, they do not do it there. And so, with that being said, very low-scoring game here, and this trend will actually continue well into the 3rd quarter of action. So, that's certainly going to put a lot of pressure on our defense there. We'll see if they're ready for the task as they are going to throw quickly on. Looks like it could have been an RPO. And the RPO was certainly successful there, creating a goal line opportunity as Brock will throw to the right-hand side, and Dolphin diving into the end zone. Peter Townsend could not get there soon enough as Isaiah Lake is going to give Evansville the 10-7 lead. And that will remain your score going into the final quarter of action. Are we on upset alert, chat? It's certainly not looking good for the boys in blue, as Dayton is looking to get things started here. Just trying to really get things going. They have not done anything really of note since that opening drive touchdown in the first quarter. And now we'll see if this offense can finally respond. 3rd and 4 as we send a man in motion as Collar snaps it. Looks like they send the blitz going for Grayson Heidick, and Heidick will hang on and make the catch for us. 1st down for the Dayton Triangles. And now we have a goal line situation inside the 5 as we'll run for Jonathan McGriff, who finds the end zone. Touchdown, Dayton! And the Triangles will score yet again as Jonathan McGriff gives your Dayton squad the lead. And we're going to be up 14-10, and a couple of minutes later, after a failed possession by Evansville, we have a chance to extend it even further, throwing over the middle, and I wanted Leon Thomas for the dagger, but it's going to be incomplete. So now, 3rd and 13 coming up in what is a very critical play for both teams. A stop keeps Evansville alive while picking up this 1st down and maybe find the end zone. Could ultimately be the dagger, and sure enough, John McGriff gets into the open space, and it's a 1st down, allowing us to chew even more clock, but more importantly, be on the doorsteps of the end zone, on the verge of putting this game away, and we will on our very next run. Had to give Jonathan McGriff another opportunity, and he does not disappoint us. Touchdown, Dayton! And the Triangles will take a bigger lead. But off screen, though, we will see Evansville get a touchdown of their own. Granted, they will actually not get the 2-point conversion. So that means we got to make sure we do one of two things. We got to get another touchdown on the board, or we got to run out the rest of this clock. And it's not going to be the easiest doing either because Evansville does have 2 timeouts. But picking up this 1st down would be critical as Jonathan McGriff, sure enough, will power through. The 1st down will be garnered, and Evansville will take their 2nd timeout. They only will have 1 remaining as Collar is going to drop back the pass, trying to remain aggressive here. Going to slide before getting out of bounds. Just a very heads-up play, even though the 2-minute warning has officially arrived. But 1 more 1st down should absolutely do it, though. And sure enough, they will get it for Jonathan McGriff. So the game effectively should be over at that point. We now have a 100-yard day. However, because we had injury timeouts on a couple of other plays, we have to actually get another one. Crazy work being done here. And so we'll try to throw for it. And while Leon Thomas does make the catch, we will not be able to pick up the 1st down. And suddenly, this game gets a whole lot more interesting. We'll settle for the field goal attempt here, and it looks like it's going to be about a 55-yarder. Does Felipe Nichols have the leg? And he does! Felipe Nichols will strike it through to the backside. And so we're going to be up by 8 points now. But Evansville still has a little bit of life. Here we go. 1st and 10 from the 30-yard line. Brock looking, trying to find someone to get open, but Brock gets hit as he throws it. And it'll force the incompletion. And we'll have to run it back yet again. This time, 2nd and 10 from the 28-yard line as Brock steps up in the pocket once more. But again, faces pressure from the backside, creating a 3rd and 10. Looking to get off the field once again. 3rd and 10 now for Evansville. Looking to go deep downfield, but it's going to be definitely off there. Not sure if it was intentional or not. But either way, it's 4th and 10. I'm going to direct my DBs to stand back. And there looks like they are going to go for a goal line shot. Brock's going to fire it as far as he can. It's short of the goal line. And it will fall harmlessly to the ground. So an exciting affair here in the AFC North. But the Dayton Triangles will be able to pull it out. We're going to win by a final score of 24-16. And we're just going to have to keep it rolling as we'll go ahead and get this win. Alright boys, so we struggled through the first 3 quarters of this game, but we were able to eventually pull it out in the 4th quarter. You know, obviously had to go out there and save our best for last. You know, we won the turnover battle as well as won those time of possessions, so that is always going to benefit us in a significant way. Now, Andrew Collar actually had arguably one of his worst games of the season in spite of us winning here today, because he was only 15 for 28, so he was not very efficient at all. He had 125 yards passing, had a touchdown, also threw an interception. It was definitely a game that Andrew Collar would like to forget about in the near future. Now, Jonathan McGriff, on the other hand, he had a really good game and made up for the slack, as Jonathan McGriff was able to have over 100 yards on the ground and was able to find the end zone on 2 separate occasions. For our receivers, Leon Thomas led the way here, man. 85 yards, a touchdown, and had 9 catches as well. But none of the other receivers really did much to pull their weight, so to speak. But thankfully, we are blessed with one of the best defenses in the league. Jared Strong and Ty Moody both led the team in tackles today. They had 7 tackles in this ball game. Cameron Spencer and Niles Cotton did also end up with 6 tackles in their own right. Cameron Spencer was able to get a sack, and then we had multiple turnovers in this one. Jordan Baptiste was able to get a interception off screen, and he was the one that was there when he was forcing the fumble, which would end up being recovered by one of our budding veterans in Matt Weaver. So another great performance for our defense, and it really just goes to show that we have a championship caliber defense for our roster. Alright boys, so right after the game, we have a couple of our defensive players who played solid games. You know, both of them did. We get some upgrades for both of them here. Now, for Ty Moody, I want to go ahead and work on his weakness, and his biggest weakness right now is playing in that zone coverage. So we'll go ahead and get that to him, and Ty Moody actually jumps up now to an 83 overall. He's now got +2s for the press and awareness, you know, make him a little bit more aware of what's going on the field. And then our starting middle linebacker, Paul Hitchens, is actually also going to get an upgrade as well. Now, for Paul Hitchens, I want to make sure that, you know, kind of that same concept that we had for Ty Moody is that we are going to work on his weaknesses here too, work on the pass coverage, and he's going to stay as a 77 overall for the time being, but a +3 to man coverage is going to help us out, especially in 3rd down type of situations. Now, with that being said, we do at least get some promising news like in the front of what's going on with Boston. So Boston was chasing us. The problem is Boston lost their last game. They actually had an upset pulled on them. So that means we are automatically locked into that number 2 seed in the UFL playoffs. We do also see that San Antonio did win their next game, and so San Antonio was able to lock in the number 1 overall seed in the UFL playoffs, at least on our conference. So not much that we could do here. I do want to get one more game in with the starters, so that I just don't like the idea of resting our key starters 2 games in a row. So with that being said, we'll jump into this next game. We'll see how we end up doing, and let's see if we can build some momentum going into the playoffs. So even though we do already have the number 2 seed locked up, I definitely want to see if we can finish strong against the Boston Mariners squad. And this Boston team, while they are very likely to win their division and obviously be in the playoffs, they have clinched a playoff berth, I believe. At the same time, though, what I will say is that they are not locked into the number 3 seed. So a loss for them could make it very interesting, while a win would lock them into the number 3 seed. So we're going to see if we can play a little bit of spoiler here. And what's going to be the last meaningful game for our starters, because I think I will end up resting them after this ball game, as that is an outstanding effort by our defensive line, keeping them outside of the end zone. But can they make one more such stand? They're going to go with a 4th and goal from the 2-yard line, and they're going to run it into the end zone, and Boston is going to score again. Travis DeBow leads yet another drive as the former Orlando Guardians quarterback comes and finds some refuge here in Boston. And now we find ourselves down pretty big early. We're actually down 14-0. And this is something that we're not necessarily accustomed to. So let's see how our team handles it, as we'll throw it to the right-hand side. And we will locate Grayson Heineck for the first down, but a chance to get more points onto the board, though, as we'll run with Jonathan McGriff, who is going to help us respond in kind. Touchdown, Dayton! And Jonathan McGriff is going to get us right back into the game. So we are up, still down 14-7, but showing some signs of life here as the snow continues to fall here in the same city that helped spark the American Revolution. And that tackle is going to force them into a 4th down, but it looks like they're also going to go for it as well. They're feeling confident here on this 4th and short. DeBoy in this under center is going to hand it off to the fullback, but our defense stands tall as J.J. Peters is going to finish it off in the backfield. And now we are going to find ourselves just 6 yards away from tying it up. Let's go, baby. Or at least that's what I would have said if our offense actually did something. We did end up going 3 and out. And so with 4 minutes left in the half, the Boston offense will be back out onto the field, as that is Travis DeBoy just doing a good job of throwing on the run there and picking up the first down. And it will set up Boston to put together another pretty good drive that eventually ends up in the red zone yet again, as Dubois is going to throw over the middle once more, finds his receiver. And his receiver is going to pick up yet another first down for this Boston Mariners team. As now, 1st and goal from the 6-yard line. Ty Moody laying the lumber there, able to get to that quarterback with, or not receiver, without making it illegal. But we can only do so much with the user, though, as it looks like Kavion Brown is going to score for Boston there. And just like that, we are a little bit out of reach here once more. 21-7, going to be your score going into the final moments of this first half. And we really, at this point, need a strong 2-minute drive just to build, put that big MO back over on our side. So a tough spot to be in, but let's see if our boys can go ahead and pull it out. As we are getting into the final minute here of this first half. We go no huddle, as we'll throw to the right-hand side for Grayson Heineck, and it's completed. But at the same time, though, I mean, if he was able to stay in bounds, he had a massive play. Instead, it's going to be 2nd and short, where we'll try to throw for the first down, and Grayson Heineck is going to have yet another completion there. But we're just right outside of field goal range here. As 2nd and 9, throwing to that right-hand side. Looks like it was Will Hunter that I was trying to connect with. But instead, it's going to be a long incompletion. As now it's going to be 3rd and 9. Collar stepping up in the pocket, and DeAndre Bazier does hang on and makes the catch. But Boston will also use one of their timeouts. And interesting call here from our coordinators. We're actually going to go for it here, believing in the running game, but Jonathan McGriff can't get there. It's been that type of day where we just cannot establish the running game, and that's why we've struggled so much in this ball game. And those struggles will continue well into the second half, as with just a few minutes left in this game, we are down 35-7. As the kids would say, we have been down horrendous today, and this is certainly not going to help. A 3rd and 22 coming up. We'll see if we can at least get something here on a 3rd and 22. And Grayson Heineck is actually going to get upfield. It's a first down. Grayson Heineck able to make a big play for us up the field. And while Andrew Collar has struggled with the turnovers today, he has 3 interceptions. At the same time, though, he has at least helped move the ball downfield. We just got to do better in executing just generally on offense. But we know that Boston knows what we want to do at this point in the game. We have to throw the football, and we have to throw this football quite a bit so their pass rushers can be a lot more aggressive. Is now 3rd and 10 coming up. Collar trying to drop back, and no one able to get clean breaks off the line of scrimmage, and it forces Andrew Collar to eat yet another sack, and it makes what's already hard almost impossible. 4th and 13. Collar is going to try to throw it down the right hand side. One to go deep for Will Hunter, but threw it short. It was not a great deep ball. They just didn't have a great grip. I don't know. But what I do know is that if we play like this in the playoffs, I promise you we are going to absolutely have a 1st round exit as Boston locks up the 3 seed. Alright, so this box score is definitely concerning. This is the worst game that we played this entire year, and this was even accounting for the blowout that we had against San Antonio. So that was not a good game either. Hopefully this was just kind of like looking ahead to the playoffs and not a bigger representation of what could happen if we see these guys in the playoffs. And Andrew Collar in particular, I'm going to be honest, he had his worst game of the season. No touchdowns, 3 interceptions, just an uncharacteristically bad day for Andrew Collar, even though he did throw for over 240 yards. It doesn't help either when we could not get any kind of ground game going. McGriff was shut down with just 3 yards to carry, 24 yards, although he did have our only touchdown today. Andrew Collar had a couple of nice runs as well. Grayson Heineck, we had a couple bright spots in our receiving core. Grayson Heineck and DeAndre Bazier, they both honestly had pretty good games, but that being said, not really much to report here. Defensively, I mean, even our defense really faltered. This was just a game where everyone came out flat. Nobody really played well as a unit, although we had individual glimpses of good performances. Paul Hitchens had 10 tackles. Daryl McLeod had 8 tackles himself. We actually failed to get to the quarterback, and then we also failed to force any turnovers as well. Just one of those games where you're just gonna have to burn the entire film and just go ahead and move ourselves on to the next one, our final game of the season, happily. Now, before I go ahead and unveil the starting lineup for this final game of the regular season, because our seeding is locked in, we're the 2 seed no matter what, we do have a few upgrades that I want to do. Jonathan McGriff is certainly one of them, and Jonathan McGriff, yes, he had his had a rough game in the last time out, but he's leading the league in rushing. I think that's really awesome that we do have that from Jonathan McGriff. I'm gonna go ahead and work on his power back so that it becomes even more effective down by the goal line, and he gets a +2 to break tackling, which is pretty nifty, although he will stay at an 84 overall for right now. Also getting some upgrades as well is Mitch Woodson, and Mitch Woodson, he's been really putting in the work. I've been really impressed with what Mitch Woodson has been doing, even though we have not necessarily had a chance to really see him play, but maybe this next game could be a good opportunity to do so. And he even becomes a scheme fit. He's now a scheme fit for us, and he's up 2 overalls. He's a 73, so this is a solid football player that maybe we should look at getting some reps in this upcoming matchup. Then the last person getting an upgrade is Nas Evans, and Nas Evans continues to put in the work. I don't think we figured out what his dev trait is, so I think Nas Evans is one of the starters that I want to play. We do get him up to a 72 overall with the plus freeze, the block shed, and finesse moves, but you can see even throughout the course of this season, for one reason or another, even though I did actually start this guy, I don't know what EA is doing, but he's not really seeing the field a ton, which is a little bit concerning as a rookie that has all of his promise, and I don't want to lose his hidden dev trait either. Alright guys, so I took a look at what I wanted to do in terms of this last game of the season, and what I ended up deciding to do is that anyone that has at least a star development trait, with the exception of one person, I remove from the starting lineup. So this is how I ended up going about doing things. So we are going to be starting Matt Whitfield at quarterback. This is someone that we did bring in the off season, just to kind of have that long-term plan in place, just in case Andrew Collar does end up going to the UFL. Now, he is someone that somehow, some way, does not have ever he's never played in a game, right? Which is crazy to me, because he does have some games logged, like during his time, looks like when he was with possibly Columbus. I think that's what that acronym is for. But with that being said, I am excited to see what we have in Martin Whitfield. We saw him in the preseason, so can't wait to see him go to work. I am also starting Heath Whitehead, who was our second round pick from last year. You know, had some good moments, but because, you know, Jonathan McGriff was available in free agency, that's why Heath Whitehead was not our starting tailback. And I think it's worked out really well. He is a leading rusher. DeAndre Bazier was upgraded. He's going to be wide receiver 1 in this game. And then Mitch Woodson is going to act as our number 3 receiver, with Michael Thomas possibly getting some looks. Will Hunter will remain as your wide receiver 2. Eric Posey is someone that I'm also pretty intrigued in. Eric Posey is an undrafted rookie out of the University of Toledo. He's been our third string tight end this entire season. So this is the first time that we've really seen him play. He has not stepped on the field since the end of the preseason. So can't wait to see what he can do. Among the offensive line, Heck is going to get the start at center, and then Gaffney, who we brought in as a, you know, kind of like an acquisition at free agent. He's going to be coming in here, and like he'll step in and get his first start of this season as well. Defensively, this is what I'm going to be rolling with. Now, one exception that I did make is I did want to get like Nas Evans to go ahead and like try to continue to get him closer to figuring out what his development trait is going to be. I think that's going to be really helpful moving forward. Among the defensive line, Matt Weaver is going to rest, but we are going to play Randy Dawkins. He's a 4th-year player out of Western Michigan, as this is what he's been like doing over the course of the season. I did not mean to like press that button. I was looking for like his stats. Let's see if we can actually pull him up here real quick. But this is what your generally like your defensive lineup is going to be. So Randy Dawkins, someone that has not really stepped onto the field during his UFL career, but we'll get a chance to see him in live gameplay for the first time. Also, keeping things going on the defensive side of the ball is that I am going to upgrade Ty Moody as our cornerback 1, and then Jared Strong is going to be our second corner, so he'll get the start on the opposite side. Expect to see, you know, a little bit of Quentin Gisely as well as like Sheldon Ferry like a little bit more often. Chris Gentry, someone who we drafted a few years ago, he is going to be able to step on the field. Now, we saw him a little bit in his rookie year, but with the rest of the roster being upgraded, haven't really seen much of him in his UFL career. He does have a pick 6 and he does have a like pass deflection, but other than his rookie year, he really has not done too terribly much. And then moving over to your linebackers, actually we will have 2 different linebackers starting in our front 7. Johnny Sullivan is one of them. He's a 2nd-year player out of Oklahoma. He's been the backup sitting behind Cameron Spencer for some time, and I think he's a solid player. I think he plays at least better than what his overall would suggest. He does have 1 career sack so far, and he's logged 10 tackles, like kind of like being like a rotational player in our linebacking core. So I'm looking to see how Johnny Sullivan does with extended playing time. And then Cameron Means on the other side is the last person that we are going to put in the starting lineup that we usually don't get to use too terribly often. Cameron Means, he's been a backup for us here. He was projected to start at some point, but then we drafted JJ Peters, and we quickly found out that, hey, JJ Peters is actually a stud. This has been his UFL career so far. He has won log TFL. It's actually having his best season as a backup. He has 8 tackles, which is a career high, as well as like a fumble recovery, a block kick, which we got, I believe it was in the Seattle game earlier this year, and a defensive touchdown. So again, just another one of those players that I'm really curious to see how he handles like the additional playing time, because he's usually behind someone like a JJ Peters. Alright, so with that being said, let's go ahead and jump into the final game that we have in this episode. Final game of the regular season as we take it on this Memphis Showboats team on the road. And we get a real good look at Marvin Whitfield, who, you know, if he does end up having to replace Andrew Collar, you know, because Andrew Collar goes to the NFL, I really want to see if really find out if Marvin Whitfield is going to be a guy that I can rely on to start, or if I possibly need to bring somebody in next season to compete with Marvin Whitfield. So this is going to be a real indicator type moment here, as first drive is actually going pretty well. So first completion is to a wide open Will Hunter. His first pass ends up going for 32 yards. And just like that, we find ourselves in Memphis territory, handing it off to the former second-round pick in Heath Whitehead, who is able to get across that 25-yard line, as that is going to move the chains. And Memphis, you know, they are not in that same spot of luxury that we are, although we do have an injury on our side. Eric Posey, who actually hurt himself on the first play of the game, he breaks his ribs, so we're not going to get a good look at him. I was so disappointed in that. I wanted to see him play, like just see how he does as like our full-time tight end. So because we only have 2 tight ends available on the roster, Grayson Heineck will have to come in occasionally, so he doesn't get as much rest as I thought we were going to give him. But DeAndre Bazier has an excellent route on the slant pattern, and we're going to be able to strike first. We will be able to take the lead early against DeAndre Bazier. And so with that, we have a 7-0 lead as our defense comes out onto the field, and we give up a wide open play here. I mean, just no one in the vicinity of this guy. Like, what are we actually doing over here, guys? That's crazy to me. And so it's going to be 1st and 10 from about midfield, as it's going to be a play action. We do almost get to that quarterback, but Fenderson is able to make the catch in the nick of time. And his second catch of the game also happens to go for a first down. And Memphis is moving the chains, and you know what, dare I say it, they might need to go ahead and get them keys out, because I'll tell you what, they are certainly on a drive right now. We are going to find ourselves immersed in the red zone, and we'll see if we can make a red zone stand, as Memphis drops back the pass on a 1st and 10, and will be brought down quickly by the backup middle linebacker Jordan Baptiste, who will help make this 3rd and short as we try to get a critical stop before the first down marker, and we just are barely going to get it. An interesting decision time here, and as Memphis actually does opt to settle for a field goal. I'm very surprised that they don't end up going for it. It's not what I would have done, but with that being said, they wanted to take the points early on in the game, and it's going to be a 7-3 affair. So the defense stands tall in the red zone. We'll still have a 4-point lead as we'll hand it off again to Heath Whitehead, the former second rounder, who is able to pick up a gain of 7. As now 3rd and 6 coming up as Whitfield lines up in the shotgun. First big play for the 4th-year quarterback, who wants to go to the left-hand side. He was trying to target the rookie out of Oklahoma State, Mitch Wunson, but not the best decision there. He has to punt the football away because of it. And also what we saw on the drive as well was that Will Hunter, he dislocates his shoulder. So that means he is going to be out for the rest of his ball game as well. And so our receiving core definitely being tested right now, as Memphis will take over, trying to take the lead, but Ty Moody is going to have absolutely none of it, as Ty Moody is able to get home on the quarterback, as our top corner for today is making a big play in the backfield. Very next play, though, is the 2nd and 23, comes up as they go with a play action over to the right-hand side, while eventually Jordan Baptiste brings him down. That is a very significant gain there, one that I'm not too terribly happy about. This should be a much more difficult 3rd down, but thankfully we make a stand, forcing them to punt the ball away. But Ty Moody, oh, I thought he was going to have 7 points on the board there, but he drops the pass. Still pretty good play, though, as the score will remain 7-3. And before we get into the end of the 1st quarter, Heath Whitehead gets one more carry, picks up the 1st down. And yeah, that's going to be the end of your 1st quarter here. It's been an exciting one, even though we don't have any of our key players in the game. We're going to be up 7-3 after 1 quarter. We're going to continue the strong start. So let's go ahead and see what these boys can do at the start of the 2nd quarter, as Whitfield lines up in a 5 wide receiver set, as we'll go ahead and go and throw the wide receiver screen to Mitch Woodson, who is able to follow his blocks pretty effectively as he picks up a 1st down, carrying the Dayton Triangles to nearly midfield, as they'll look to get DeAndre Bazier involved. Hasn't called his name much today, as the former 5th round pick out of Wake Forest gets the carry and gets across the 40-yard line. And as the Kirk Herstreak would always say, get some keys out because we're on a drive. As Whitfield wants to throw over the middle, he had a guy open. Actually, might have been multiple guys. We wanted to go deep initially outside on the perimeter, but it was locked down. So 3rd and 11 coming up here. Going to be hard to try and pick up this 1st down. Just going to try to pick up some yards here and hope for the best. Instead, it's DeAndre Bazier open on the pivot route, and it works to absolute perfection there, as that will carry the Dayton Triangles into the red zone with a chance to make this a 2-possession game. Christmas will get the next reception, and he nearly picks up the 1st down as well. Normally our backup tight end finally able to get some attention. He's usually in for run blocking situations, but he'll get a rest here as Heath Whitehead carries the ball, and he'll carry it inside the 5-yard line. So a chance to make this our 2nd touchdown drive of the game, as Whitfield lines up one more time in the shotgun, finds Champ Johnson late, and the custom out of Mississippi Valley State, the Delta Devils product, is going to give Dayton a huge lead. They're going to be up 14-3, as this Memphis Showboats team, it's not necessarily like a win-or-go-home situation, but if they were to lose, their playoff path becomes a lot muddier. So they're looking to win today so that they can just don't have to worry about, relying on anyone else in the league. But right now, we are playing a little bit stingy, and I am so happy with how this team has been playing. As now, 2nd and 3 coming up, as they are going to go with a play action over the middle of the field. It is a long completion. It'll eventually be brought down by Nick Cotton, the starting strong safety. But with that being said, Memphis is threatening once again. Looking for more than just a field goal the last time that they were down there, but it's not going to make it that easy, as Nas Evans is able to bring him down. But looks like Randy Bowen, the backup defensive tackle, might have hurt himself in the process. Hopefully it's not a too serious of an injury. He doesn't see the field very often, but I do like to try to keep as much of our depth intact as possible, because we're going to certainly need that depth in the playoffs. And that sack by Nas Evans, the 2nd round rookie, does eventually lead to the drive stalling out, and the Showboats are going to have to settle for another field goal. So right now, 14-6 is your score as we look to go deep here. Seems like they are going press across the board, looking for somebody to win downfield, and it's caught! Jam Johnson gonna take him down the length of the field for a massive first down. Carrying him across the 35-yard line. First down, Dayton. And they are starting to find the groove now with Whitfield, man. Already 150 yards and a couple of touchdowns. He's gaining some confidence. And that's going to be confirmed by a touchdown on the RPO. Again, finding Champ Johnson. He has really stepped up with the two top receivers out, either for the game or because of rest reasons. And Champ Johnson taking full advantage. We're going to be up 21-6. And now the Memphis Showboats, they are in desperate need of scoring, which is going to happen right away as, oh my goodness, Shirley gets beat deep. That's the backup corner. Doesn't get a lot of reps at DB. It's more of a special teams guy. And it certainly looked like it there. An easy touchdown that we gave up on the back end. And now it's back to being a one-possession game. And we are going to see why Marvin Whitfield was the backup quarterback for us as he stares down his receiver. Keon Coleman, I believe, was the linebacker that intercepted that pass. And just in a blink of an eye, all of a sudden, this Memphis team has some life. They really have a genuine shot to come out, and let's see if they can tie this game up. 1:01 left on a 3rd and long. They throw over the middle, and it's caught. Tight window there, and are able to make the completion happen. And now Memphis trying to go no huddle here. Throwing over to the right-hand side. So much space to work through as it now gets across the 20-yard line. But they're going no huddle here. They are not using that last timeout yet. It could kill them. Firing over the middle. He had a receiver, but it was incomplete. He simply missed him. And now, 7 seconds left. This could be the last play of the second quarter. He had his running back open there, too. That would have made it a lot easier of a field goal. Probably an outside shot of scoring. So a couple of bad passes here will allow us to hold on to the lead for the time being. So we're going to be up by 5. And while we are waiting for the second half to start, we are going to go ahead and jump around the country to see what's happening in the rest of the UFL, as it starts with the Chicago Enforcers beating Columbus 28-17. The Enforcers looking to make the playoffs in the NFC, and that certainly helps. On the other hand, Minnesota dominates against the Dirty Birds of Charleston as the Blizzard win 21-6 there. And then our last update that we have is the Louisville Thoroughbreds going on the road and beating our hated rivals in Pittsburgh. We love seeing the downfall, but now we go back to the second half of action as Memphis actually does get a shot at it. We did get the ball to start the second half, but as you can see, we did absolutely nothing with it. And because we did absolutely nothing with it, then Memphis will quickly have the ball in their hands as it leads to a critical 3rd and 4. That should have been an offsides penalty. They're not going to call it. Not going to need it either as Nick Collins somehow misses that tackle in the open field. I mean, how does that even happen? How is that even possible? I have absolutely no idea, but a little bit embarrassing nonetheless. And once again, Memphis will be set up in essentially a red zone opportunity. They're technically not in there. But let's call a spade here, man. It's essentially a red zone chance. As now, 3rd and 10 coming up as their quarterback's going to drop back in the pocket, but facing pressure as Ty Moody gets his 2nd sack of the day. It's another drive that ends up being crushed. So that forces Memphis to settle for a field goal. And I'm glad that our defense showed up to play, because it seems like offensively we are missing some people in the second half because, again, we go 3 and out. So we're definitely starting to find a law offensively. So hopefully our defense can cover the slack. But it's not looking great for the boys in blue, as it's going to be Fenderson finding a soft spot in the coverage. And so Memphis finds some breathing room once again. Very next play, their quarterback drops back, firing over to the left-hand side, and will complete that pass quickly over to the left-hand side, able to get that out route to go. As now, a couple of plays later, they're going to go with the play action over the middle of the field. We lock it down, though. Their quarterback has nowhere to go. And eventually the backup linebacker, Brad Means, is able to apply the final nail in the coffin on this drive. And thank goodness for that, we're able to force another punt. But at the same time, though, we still cannot get anything going offensively. It's honestly been pretty disgusting so far. So hopefully our boys can go ahead and pull it together here in this final quarter, as we are going to be up by a couple of points at the very least. But at the same time, things are getting very tight very quickly here in this third quarter. So let's see if our mainly backups can go ahead and hold things out, as we'll pick things up here in a 2nd and 8 from the 45-yard line. As again, they're going to drop back to pass over the middle. Not sure if Fenderson would have had the first down if he caught it, but it sure would have made this third down conversion a whole lot easier. Now they're staring down a 3rd and 8. Clemente dropping back, but facing pressure right away. It's Greg Sharp this time laying the lumber. And it's been that kind of day. You saw the stat at the bottom of the screen. That is actually our 7th sack of the game. So we force yet another punt, but their punter does a very good job of getting it pinned deep in our own territory. So I know it feels like at least we have not had a first down in the entire second half. Finally, we are able to break such a streak as Cam Johnson is able to move the sticks for us for the first time in the second half. And I hope that we can at least pick up one more first down, and that should do it. Plenty of breathing room now, as Heath Whitehead is going to eclipse 100 yards on the ground. And that is just the perfect setup that we like to have, as Whitfield's going to drop back on the very next play, but he never saw the corner undercut the receiver. Oh my goodness, what a catastrophic mistake. And you see where they start the next drive. They are literally starting the next drive for the 34-yard line, already in field goal range. Such a crucial mistake by Marvin Whitfield, who has really provided us with the Jameis Winston experience, if you really think about it. Like, in the first half, he looks like an all-star, throwing those 3 touchdowns in the first half. But yet, here we are, ever since, like, I want to say late in the second quarter, we've thrown 2 interceptions. He hasn't really been able to move the ball down the field whatsoever. Thankfully, though, our defense is simply amazing, though. I mean, at least forcing Memphis to settle for a really long field goal attempt. This is about 55 yards out. Certainly not going to be easy for any kicker, let alone an UFL one. And my man's had the distance. He really did. But he did not have the accuracy. So we will preserve the lead for right now. And we got to be counting our lucky stars, man. Because honestly, we should be down by at least 1 point here. And so we will actually take over instead at about midfield. And let's see if we can put together one drive. That's all I'm asking for. Just one drive. See if we can put this game away. As Whitfield, just want him to be smart with the football here on 3rd and 10. Find DeAndre Bossier, and he's able to stretch his arms out across the first down marker. That is certainly going to be a gut punch, because now we can get into a little bit more of our 4-minute offense here, run some time off the clock, and see if our boys can go to work. And I think Ricky Roberts of Memphis made that tackle there. There's a former Dayton Triangle from earlier in the series, but we let him go because he was not interested in coming back and playing for our football team. But yeah, man, here we are, 3rd and 6, so a first down here could seal the deal. As now Whitfield's going to drop back, throws to the right-hand side. He has Heath Whitehead, but as Heath Whitehead could not complete the process of the catch. So we had to settle for a field goal, and we're going to be up by 5 points. So we're going to need our boys in defense. They've been playing excellent here, especially in this second half. They're going to need one more stop. That's all I'm asking for. Man, that was almost a dot down the right-hand side. Is now 2nd and 10 coming up. Clemente drops back, fires to the right-hand side, finds their superstar receiver. I felt like he's been really quiet today, but he's finally starting to come alive here a little bit. Trying to target him once again, but thankfully it was a bad throw. We certainly got bailed out there, and it was certainly not seatbelts at all. As now 2nd and 10 coming up, firing over the middle and finding the slot receiver in Fenderson. And because Memphis is in that 2-minute drill, they're going to no huddle here, trying to make some things shake here late in the ball game. Has to dump it off to the running back, who does manage to get across the 35-yard line. They'll now take a second timeout. So 1st and 10 as Clemente fires to the left-hand side, and fires in the direction of Varian, but this time is able to be in a much better position to play it out this time around, forcing the incompletion. And then on 2nd and 10, going in that same exact direction, well, he didn't force the incompletion, but, he does all the, the animations if he did, typical DB behavior. You'll love to see it sometimes. 3rd and 10 coming up, though. They're going for the end zone. And that is Jared Strong with the incompletion. He has turned into an extremely valuable football player for us. He's listed as our number 3 corner usually, but playing as the 2 corner today, he's been playing extraordinarily well. Need him to make possibly one more play. And then is going to be a turnover on downs. Dayton is going to take over with 52 seconds left on the clock, and this is just simply a formality after that. Your Dayton Triangles, with some backups in the game, are going to be able to pull it off against the Memphis Showboats. And for Memphis, who knows what's going to happen to their playoff hopes at this point. So with us resting our key starters today, I was actually pleasantly surprised with how we handled things in this matchup. While we were outgained, we were able to ultimately keep Memphis out of the end zone, as they were not able to score more than 1 touchdown in the entire ball game. We were also extremely effective in the red zone, going 3 for 3. I also found it was very insightful to see what we had in Marvin Whitfield, and overall I came away feeling that whenever Andrew Collar is ready to go to the NFL, I think we're gonna be okay. Yes, Marvin Whitfield did throw a couple of interceptions in the second half, but 16 for 27, over 200 yards. He had those free passing touchdowns in the first half in particular. I thought he did a pretty good job overall. It also helps that we had a pretty good ground game from Heath Whitehead, who had over 100 yards off of 19 carries. He averaged 6 yards a carry in the ball game. DeAndre Bazier had a few good runs, and then Champ Johnson and Marvin Whitfield had negative rushing yards in this one. Champ Johnson actually led the team in receiving yards. This is the first time that Champ Johnson has done this all season long. He had 2 touchdowns off of 5 catches. And then DeAndre Bazier was also able to score. He had 3 catches for 35 yards. Most of it was actually taking place after the catch. But defensively, I thought our defense played extraordinarily well in spite of the fact that we did not have many of our key starters in the game. Jordan Baptiste and Paul Hitches, both of our linebackers, did line up with 9 tackles apiece, with Niles Cotton right on his tails with 8. But what impressed me the most was our ability to get to this quarterback, and this was truly a team effort. Ty Moody and Von Red both had multiple sacks, but it was a party in the backfield all night long as Paul Hitchens comes out with a sack and a half. Greg Sharp and Naz Evans all had 1 sack, and then Cameron Means and Daryl McLeod, they were able to combine on a sack as well. So some very good things happening in our defense. The fact that we had, multiple starters not in this game, and we only allowed 19 points to a team that is possibly going to go to the playoffs, I'm very encouraged by that. And when we put our starters back in, helping them feel a little bit more refreshed, I think that's going to help us out tremendously. But those really good performances came at a price, because a big reason why I wanted to take a lot of my key starters out was I wanted to avoid any injuries to key guys. And while we were successful in doing so, we did have multiple injuries happen. Anton Mills, who is our typical starting left guard, he actually torn his labrum and he is going to be out for the playoffs. Randy Dawkins, a backup defensive tackle, he broke his thumb and is going to be out until at least the championship game if we make it that far. And then Eric Posey breaks his ribs on the first drive of the game, I kid you not. And he is going to be out for the remainder of this season. He will not even be available to the championship game if we were even to make it that far. But with that being said, guys, we are going to be successful in making the playoffs. That 13-4 record is going to be good enough for us to go ahead and make it as the number 2 seed over on the AFC side of things. A couple of teams that we will be experiencing is we're going to take on DC, which the DC Defenders we did play earlier in the regular season and we did end up winning. Memphis, we were obviously able to take care of business even with our key starters out. The Boston Mariners ended up winning their division. They're the 3 seed on our conference. They did blow us out, but maybe we can it's hard to beat a good team twice, and I'm hoping it's one of those things. So, with that being said, how things are structured is that there is going to be a reordering right after the wild card round. So, assuming that we do end up winning, we would probably most likely play either the Boston Mariners if they handle business against Memphis, or if Memphis pulls off the upset, then we would play the winner of Salt Lake City and the Houston Roughnecks. So with that being said, we are going to worry about all of this in the next episode because we want to focus in on this DC team, the DC Defenders coming into our building once again, and I want to send them home once again. So thank you guys so much for watching this regular season finale, and I hope you enjoy it. If you did, make sure you go ahead and do a few things for me. Hit that like button, and then also hit that subscribe button as well if you do happen to be brand new to the channel. This is John J Gaming on the mic signing off. Hoping you guys are all out there having a good one. Take care, everybody.